This is Brad Montgomery. Welcome to the Successful, Interesting, and Awesome podcast, where I interview people who are, wait for it, successful, interesting, and awesome. Or at least one of those three. What's up, everybody? I've missed you. How are you? You looking good? Have you been washing your hands? You know you have. Well, this is a good day, and I'll tell you why. Because I get to talk to one of my peers, somebody I've looked up to and respected for a super long time, somebody who has the most amazing voice ever, somebody who's a member of the Speaker Hall of Fame, CPAE Speaker Hall of Fame, and I get to pepper her with questions to know her better. I'm excited, and you are going to be excited because she's one of our rock stars. Say hello to Jane Herlong. Oh, Jane, how are you?
Hey, good. I'm so happy to be here.
Well, thank you for saying yes.
Yes, I'm really excited. This is very sweet of you, Brad. I'm glad to get to know you too.
Well, one of the things that just happened is you and I were flipping out because we had a technical issue and we're switching microphones and all this stuff. You and I, well, honestly, the entire planet, we've all learned a lot about audiovisual stuff that we didn't used to know, right?
Boy, you're not kidding. I'm telling you, and it wins every time with me. I keep thinking, how can I get better? And I hear all these gurus, and I'm thinking, guru, I am not.
Well, let's get into it. There's a million things I want to ask you. You are a Southern humorist, I think. Is that what you call yourself?
I do. It helps get me hired, so that's what I call myself. Just
I want to know everything. I want to know everything about a Southern humorist because I think when I think of Southern humor, I think I recognize it, but I have no idea how to define it or how to describe it. So what is Southern humor?
I think that we love stories, and we talked about that, how everybody loves stories. And we take a situation and we tell the story, we embellish the heck out of it. Nobody even recognizes it by the time it gets delivered. And if I'm with my left brain husband, he keeps saying, that's not what happened. And I'll say, well, they don't pay you to tell it, so hush. So we just work it until it gets to be as best it can be, have a message and fun and funny and crazy. You know, that's why this is our version of therapy, is to tell stories.
But what's the difference between Southern humor and humor?
Well, I think, like, I go downtown Johnston, which is super small. Brad, is really small. And I go to see Forrest Haltawanger. Now, who would have a name like that? and I talk about the good old boy, Forrest Haltawanger. And unless you are, I mean, he runs a tire place. And he's got 3 dogs. And they're the best alarms, really, that's what he calls them, alarms in Edgefield County. And he names them after tire parts: retread, lug wrench, and hubcap. So when you hear that kind of stuff, the people that understand the Southern isms and our Southern way of life will go, oh yeah, I got one of them. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right.
So it kind of, when you talk about crazy names and true, I mean, I got a cousin Tetta, a cousin Wee Wee, and an Aunt Fanny. Do you have any of them? If you do, we're related. We're kin.
Well, yeah. I have a weird family, but they do not have as weird names as we're talking about right now.
But everybody in the South has got some kind of crazy name, and they love to talk about the uncle whatever or the aunt. So that kind of stuff, I guess, is our own people embrace it. If that makes sense. It's like, I got that. I get it.
Yeah, but I still, like, if you were to, let's say you were coming from a different planet and you were describing to people what is Southern humor, other than saying, because you have that Southern, I heard you say the word dog, I think with 2 syllables, which I loved. So you've got the accent and definitely the stories take place in the South, but there's something to it, right? Southern humor?
I think there is. I mean, you can always spot Southern humor. First of all, to tell it, you've got to have an accent to tell it. I mean, you got to draw the words, and I mean, you have a great accent because it's kind of like that Midwestern David Letterman thing. You know, it's like, where are they from? Oh, Midwest. I'm real good at accents, so I can talk like I'm from Staten Island.
Ooh.
And so And so I speak a lot of languages. I do. I actually speak Low Country Gullah, which is where I was raised. It's a dialect, and it's a brilliant, beautiful language. My daddy spoke Gullah. My granddaddy spoke Gullah. He
I,
told stories in Gullah.
I don't know what this language is. Gullah?
Yeah,
How do
and
you spell that?
it's being taught at Harvard because it is a dying dialect. One little short Gullah story is my daddy was taking our male cat to get neutered at the vet. And one of his gentlemen that helped him on the farm, daddy had wonderful folks helping him. It was very funny. He kept stroking that male cat going, "Great God, Kidney, I sure glad I ain't you."
What
Did
did
you
you
get
just say?
that?
I swear I was listening. I swear I was listening.
He said, "Great God, Kidney, I sure glad I ain't you." Because the male cat was getting, you know,
Great God, get me.
Great God, Kidney, which is the cat, Kidney. That's the name of a cat in Gullah, Kidney. I sure glad I ain't you.
Well, I feel so like I've been under a rock. I did not know this language exists, and this is different from English, right? That is not sounding English.
Well, it's a butchered Creole, African, English. It's a little bit of everything, and so I think it's all over downtown Charleston or on the Sea Islands in the Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina. It's a Sea Island dialect, but I grew up with it. I didn't think anything of it. Daddy just spoke Gullah and Goompa spoke Gullah, and we understood it, and we would tell Gullah stories and laugh and just have fun. And so just great folks that loved to laugh, and we laugh with them.
And this is not a dead language. You go into town and hear this.
Oh yeah. In fact, I was down in Charleston last week, and I told one of the girls, she was at Walmart, and I said, "I just love your accent." I said, "I bet you're from one of the islands." I said, "Are you down in Guatemala or John's Island?" She said, "John's Island on River Road." I said, "Girl, that's where I am." So we connected, so that was
Yeah.
fun.
I feel so sheltered. I had no idea. And you're fluent, right? You can just go on all day long in this?
Yeah, I can read the Gullah Bible. It's got some funny stuff in there. I just love Gullah stories. I love funny Gullah stories.
Yeah.
When Daddy made one of his farm workers really mad, and he came in for dinner. That we had the big meal in the middle of the day. That's another Southern thing we do. We don't do lunch. We do dinner and supper. And so Daddy came in for dinner, big meal, like I said, and he said, "Oh, James is mad at me. He put a bad cussing on me." I said, "Well, Daddy, what'd he say?" He said, "Mr. Benjamin, you make me so mad. When you shut your eye for the last time, I gonna tell them people to bury you up under 8 feet deep. That way, when Gabriel blow the horn, you be the last one up." Now that's funny.
I just
Get that?
I'm just imagining when I put this on Facebook Live, Facebook's going to try to translate it, and it is going to go crazy, Jane.
Well, it's a beautiful language. It's a poetic language. It's really a dying language. And like I said, they teach it at Harvard. I'm Facebook friends with the guy that teaches Gullah. And I thanked him. I said, "Listen, I love this language. I mean, we got to keep it going." So it's a treasure.
Well, I'll be dang. I'll be looking up Gullah later. Gulla.
H.
Gullah.
Yeah, I mean, my fifth book has Gullah stuff all in it. And I can't wait for people to read the Gullah stories because they're just things that I learned from the Gullah culture. Yeah, there it is. G-U-A-H.
I've been
G-U-L-L-A.
gullible. I get it. Little joke there. See, Southern humor.
Funny.
I get
Funny.
it. Well done, Palmo. All right, so how in the world? I know you as an inspirational singer who happens to inspirational speaker, who's also funny, who also sings songs, but you didn't start there. And then I started Googling you in preparation to this. You have done some cool stuff, and it starts with a beauty pageant, I think.
Yeah, I was not a honey boo boo. I just wasn't. I mean, I just started looking at how to be better. And I was reared on a farm, a tomato farm, and we didn't have a whole lot. Daddy didn't even finish the 10th grade. But he was a very good, very honest, hardworking man. And I learned a lot about just how to make things happen and hard work. So that was a good life lesson for me. But I looked at the Miss America system and I thought, that's everything I want to become, but I'm not. So, it emphasizes communication skills. And I think that's a life principle for success.
Yeah.
I've got a whole speech called You Can't Put High Heels on a Holstein. And it's all about a girl milking a cow in a beauty pageant, true story. And, swimsuits about being physically fit. I mean, you got to feel good to act right.
Right.
And then you've got evening gown competition, which to me is your branding, your sense of style and carriage. And then talent, I don't care what you do. If you have something you can do it. I mean, my Aunt Naomi Herlong could bake a caramel cake. And as a result of that, we won a Grange, like Little House on the Prairie had the Grange meetings. Well, we got a building, we won a Grange, and it's our little church fellowship hall. So no talent is small. So you put all that together, and I think you can grasp your level of whatever you want to take to being successful. I do. Yeah, so the pageant world was great for me because I started meeting myself and being affirmed.
I know because I've read about you that you are Miss South Carolina.
Right.
And you were on a stage at Miss America. You're almost there.
I was there. I got there. The girl that won was wonderful. She was Miss Mississippi, fabulous girl. And she was dating my husband. So I tell everybody I didn't win Miss America, but I did marry her boyfriend. That's true.
Well, tell me a little bit about that pageant world. How old were you when you first started in it?
I think I entered the Miss Charleston competition, and that's how you go the local, the state, and then the national. I think I was about, I was through college. I was about 21, 22, which was good. I had maturity. I was in graduate school. You got maturity under your belt, and you're trying to get in shape and get your wardrobe. And it was a huge challenge. I mean, it's not what it used to be, Brad. That's what's so sad, because so many young women benefit. Well, any competition you can benefit from. And like my daughter wasn't interested in all that. She did the Distinguished Young Woman, which used to be Junior Miss, but her communication skills are fabulous. And she grew that from the system of being an interview. And so it has great benefits. But again, you can do that through sports, just compete, find that person inside,
I'm guessing, Jane, that one of the reasons you got hooked on speaking and one of the ways you found out you're funny is speaking as Miss South Carolina. Is that a good guess?
Yes. Whether I liked it or not, I had speaking engagements and I liked it. And then I would sing and speak. And so when I got married and left Charleston and came to this little tiny town, I mean, I'm thinking, there's nothing for me to do here. And a cousin of mine said, why don't you travel and do like motivational musical programs in schools? So I did that for years. And then Al Walker contacted me and said, you need to join NSA.
Right.
So I did. And, as you know, that's where the magic really begins, because then you start really growing your craft. You meet your own kind, you learn. You were talking about the person that influenced you and your magic. And there's so much magic, if you don't mind me using that word again, in our Speakers Association, because they're just good people that want to share.
Right. But I want to go back one. You were doing motivational musical programs in schools? What?
I was.
Tell us about that.
Well, I would travel and I would drive, and I was very passionate about it because I love speaking. Well, the story I have, and you kind of, we signature story things, and my signature story was not being able to get into college, which I finally did. I've just worked so hard. And having a low IQ and scoring so low on everything I took, the ACT, the SAT, the DUMB, I call it, everything I could take. And I just talked my way in. Daddy didn't have the money. I got a grant from his failed cucumber crop. So I went to college on cucumber rebate money. But then I started working in Daddy's fields in the summer, making money to help Daddy help me go to college. And then, so I had that story. I have a brother who has an addiction. He's a great guy, but with a bad problem. So I just sort of put that into a presentation and just told the kids about, the Just Say No was a big deal back then.
Right.
And I tell my personal story about, being laughed at in first grade because I had big lips and real short hair. People thought I was a boy, and, I was a huge tomboy. So I tell that story, and I love doing it because I felt like if one child can just change or say, hey, I can do that. If you can, I can type thing. So I loved it. I did that for years. I even had children, and I was taking the children with me. And I would literally, and just probably not good to say, but I'd nurse my son and hand him over to the guidance counselor and do the program and come back. So I was very passionate about speaking in schools and in churches. I started recording gospel music, and that was fun. So I did that on the weekends, and then during the week I did schools.
Are we talking elementary school, high school?
I would do 3 a day sometimes. I don't see how I did it. I would do the elementary, the middle, and the high. And my favorite was the middle because they're just hormones wearing blue jeans. They're just so disinterested in everything. But my favorite thing to do now, and I still do that, I will do leadership. I will not do regular. I've learned that, my age. They got to have somebody from prison who's, got spikes or tats everywhere. And I don't have all that.
Well, it's funny because I also went through that. So I bet I did 1,000 school assemblies. And there's something, those are brutal, but there's something about those reps, right? Even though your material has to change if you're speaking in front of adults, there's still something there about having to have a beginning and a middle and an end.
Let me tell you what, Nito Kubain told me the best speakers in the business come from churches and schools because they know how to hold a crowd. To me, I think every single speaker, if they want to see just how good they are, they need to go speak at a school because it is brutal.
Yeah.
It is brutal, but it's good for you. It's great training. You have to learn to read. I know you did this. You have to read those kids. And when you see all this uncomfortable stuff, you launch into something like with you, with the magic and the comedy and the whole deal. You got to be super entertaining. It's a great springboard to where we are now in what we're doing. I don't necessarily love the virtual programs. I'll do them. But, with you're an artist, I'm an artist. We got to have that feeding of the emotions of the moment to keep us sharp. And you don't get that from staring into a little tiny camera.
Here's a comment. Tanis Roeder says, would Jane want to come to Colorado to speak at our NSA chapter? Tanis.
I'd love to. I'd like to ski while I'm there. If, hintity hint, hint.
Tanis, there it is. We have a recording of this. We have proof. All right. So you have a family at some point, right? So you're driving around the state doing schools. You're Miss South Carolina, but you have kids.
Yeah. It took me a long time to have them too, brother. So I think God held out on me to get my priorities in balance because that's when I joined NSA because I'll tell you, Brad, one time, and I know you understand this with schools, but I think total, I did 250 school programs in a very short period of time. I mean, I was killing it and killing myself. Fees were low. I didn't even know what to charge. And when I started having children, I said, man, I don't want to be on Oprah in a bad way. I really want to be a good mom and a good wife, you know, and I mean, and now it's so rewarding because my children were just so close. My daughter just built a house next door on our farm. Oh. And I love that. And that's one thing that concerns me when people get too caught up in this world. I mean, you've seen it. We've seen people win great, wonderful, fabulous awards at NSA and there's nobody with them. You know, it's sad. So, I mean, I'll never forget Charles Petty has that speech of his called Climbing the Ladder of Success and Taking Your Family with You. And I hope everybody will do that. That's because once you get to a certain level and you don't have relationships with your husband or your children, that's a sad day, let me tell you.
Yeah, it's a weird part of our business where there's plenty of that, right? People who, you know, we look to get like we're together on stage and we come off stage and our life is a wreck.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, to me, and I know you're like this too, what you see on that stage is the same person that's going to step down. That's the same person. I do not change. I mean, I make it a point to be the best of me all the time. And I believe in consistency in your life. And if it's not, you need to work on something.
Yeah, right on. Yeah,
Yeah.
I get that. Well, let's get to speaking so that at some point, if I'm reading you right, if I'm kind of reading between the lines, Jane, when you were, when your kids were little, you were a mom, you were not a speaker.
Well, I still did speak, but I was very careful not to be gone so much. And I couldn't have done it without my wonderful mother-in-law who lived right down the road. We all live in this little area called Harmony. And so she was great. I miss her. She was the best. And I had good help in the house too, but I was very careful not to overdo, and I'd come right back. I didn't want to spend too many nights away, but I kept busy.
Right.
But I really, to be honest, Brad, I prayed I wouldn't get too busy because I wanted my desire of my heart was to be a good wife and a good mother, and then a good speaker.
That's such a coincidence because I also desire to be a good wife and mother. That is so amazing. We have that in common. All right, so you're a Southern humorist. I saw the word inspirational with you, but I don't see the word motivational speaker. Am I reading that wrong?
Yeah, sometimes I don't know. It kind of comes and goes. That word bothers me. It's like, how do you motivate somebody? I mean, it's like herding cats. So I'd rather be inspirational than motivational. I think that has a better feel to it for me personally. And you know, I love Southern humor. I'm on Sirius XM radio, which I'm so thankful, and they play my comedy. And I don't know, I could do straight comedy. I'm doing some theaters coming up. I could do that, but there's another part of me going, girl, you've been through some stuff now. You got to share a little bit of that. Even if you throw a bone out there, you got to tell somebody. So when someone comes up to me afterwards and said, I needed to hear that, then I think, oh, I did it right.
Oh.
I did it right.
Yeah, and what's the takeaway? If I come see your program and I'm inspired, what typically will I be inspired about or to do? Or tell me more.
Well, I've written 4 books and 5 now. I forgot about that last one. And so like sometimes depending on the group, if it's a mixed audience, I just signed a contract for August.
Yes.
And I'm doing a program I'm calling Don't Throw Tomatoes at My Field of Dreams. And it's all about growing up on the farm and what I learned picking tomatoes. And I mentioned that earlier. But the first thing is just doing extra stuff that nobody was doing because I looked at the competition and I hope to think about that. So anyway, you know, find your shine, know what to get rid of, cull stuff out of your basket. I mean, have you culled stuff this year? I have. I've culled people. Oh, I did. I culled people. Like I got to have some positive energy, honey. I just can't do that negative vampire stuff anymore. So you cull and then you learn what to plow up like my daddy did. And then you learn where to plow through. So it's all those analogies and it's fun. So hopefully you walk away going, I want me a big old tomato. I'm good.
Dang it, I want to see you live. Because I've seen samples of you. I've never seen the whole thing.
I love it. You know, sometimes I think, you know, maybe I should just slow down, but I don't want to. I really love it like you do. You know, this is a great business. You grow with your audience. Like I was on Jeannie Robertson's show From the Back Porch. I mean, she's a rock star. She's got her fan base is unbelievable. And she just keeps it. And Jeannie, she just knows how to tell stories. She told me she wakes up at 5 a.m., starts writing stories, goes to bed at 5 p.m. But she spends all day writing stories. And she's incredible. And she inspires me.
Yeah, Jeannie Robertson. If you don't know her, look her up.
Oh my gosh.
So things have changed a little bit. So you and I have both been in this business where things change, right?
Right.
I've seen, like, for example, with comedy, it seems to me the trend is to go more authentic. Where when I was a little kid, the comics I were watching were just doing material that was about nothing personal. It was about language or it was about, you know, a joke about their mother-in-law, but it wasn't real. And now comedy is about This is my angst. Here's my problems. Here's my addictions. Here's my joys. What's your take on that? Am I right that it's moving that way?
Well, I think people are this generation coming up, they're so dang intuitive and they can spot a fake. I used to think, everybody could kind of, but this one, talk about it, they're just real. They don't like anything but your soul. They want to know and they want to identify with that. The thing I'm seeing, Brad, is you have to be so careful that your material works, because some people get super duper offended. I mean, I've told some stories, and I know I was in Minnesota and I told a little story, and a couple of people, it just takes one or two, honey, to write you up and say, that was not appropriate. I thought it was hilarious because it really, really happened. But I have to be really super careful. Our language, as you know, Jerry Seinfeld, I mean, did you see his comedy special? It was brilliant.
Yeah.
Netflix. Yeah. And you saw all the stories, and he was sitting on that street. I was like, oh my gosh, the man just is a brilliant story writer. But he doesn't do colleges anymore. He doesn't do young people. He knows. He's smart. I mean, he stopped his show when he was at the zenith of his career.
Right.
And he knew it wasn't gonna. So you have to be careful. The stories you tell, the words you use, and even my son, he'll say, Mom, that is not appropriate. And I'll think, I think it's funny. He said, yeah, it's funny, but it's not appropriate to tell from a stage. So my children, I mean, I don't know how old your children are, but mine are feeding me and telling me, yay, nay, don't. Watch out for that. And that's good. I'm glad.
Well, I'm so glad you're here, because this is where I want to be. There's two ways to look at this. So we speakers are, I would say we are as a group nervous about language, and we're nervous about offending somebody, and we're nervous about a client coming back on us and saying, Brad and Jane were inappropriate or rude or whatever. So we're nervous. I think some of our peers would say, well, it's just a bunch of crap and it's a joke, and take it as a joke, and whatever. And other people say, well, this is our duty to learn the languages and the trends and stay up to date. Where are you in this? Is it over PC, or is that, what's your take?
I think we've gotten extremely PC, and I think there's a happy medium somewhere. And I think we have to have the common sense to know, if we just even have to ask, is this appropriate? That's your answer right there. If you've got to ask, it's totally something you should rethink. And I've dropped some stuff from my speeches, and I'm like you, it just depends. If I can get this crowd worked up a little bit, I might throw a zinger in real fast, and they'll laugh. Right. But I mean, I even had somebody, I tell a lot of funeral home stuff, because my husband shares his office with the funeral home lady, and she's 92. So she has funeral stories. And I even had someone say something, that's just too much funeral stuff. And I'm thinking, that I won't listen to. I'm going, right. No, that's pretty funny.
What are the topics that you avoid? So, would you tell us what was the topic or the premise in Minnesota that got you in trouble?
Oh, I'll tell you that story. I have a friend that teaches children whose parents are in prison. And she told me she loves it. She said it's like a ministry to her. Mm-hmm. And she said, but these kids, they've heard a lot. They know a lot of pop culture and terms. Mm-hmm. So she came back from spring break, and she was telling the kids, she said, oh my gosh, I was sitting eating breakfast, and a snake was wrapped around the leg of my kitchen table. And one of the little boys said, well, what'd you do? She said, well, I ran next door to get the hoe. He said, well, what did she do?
Okay. I could see it. So somebody heard that word hoe and went, that's not a play on words. That's evil.
Yeah. So I'm very careful not to tell that as much as I have in the past. But then again, if I get a group of chicks together and they start just ha ha ha, I might throw it in just and see, where it goes. And then as a speaker, and we've heard it, you've heard it, I've heard people say, well, that didn't go over well, did it? And then you look at the meeting plan and say, forget that one or something. I mean, right. You make fun of yourself. I should have done my homework better, something funny like that. But I rarely step into that anymore. I'm real tender about that, because I think the meeting planner, especially nowadays, oh my gosh, I mean, they need us to help them recoup and we don't need to be doing anything that gives them stress. I spoke live in Alabama in December, and I've never seen such a nervous meeting planner in my life. It was hybrid. And they said, do you want to come? I said, yes, I do. And I jumped on that plane and I thought, I'll just die on that stage. I'll be happy. And I just had to calm her down. I said, listen, it's going to be great. Everybody's so happy to be out. And they were. I mean, even the TSA people handed me a bottle of water to take through. I couldn't believe that. So they were just happy to have a job. But the whole atmosphere, a long time ago, Brad, it was flying was just fun and yay. But then it's gotten like, oh. But that was kind of a little window back into the past. I had a ball. But man, that meeting planner was a nervous wreck. And she was nervous, not for my speech or anything. It was just the serving of the food and, being sure it was safe and the social distance. Sure. And they got a lot on their plates now.
Well, I think I don't know about you, but when I was a newer speaker, I didn't fully embrace and understand the complete anxiety of our meeting planners. Like there are so many things that could go wrong for them. It could go wrong for us and that'd be bad. But if it goes wrong for them, they're looking at big problems. And I didn't fully understand that.
I didn't either. And then I heard some speakers say they even go so far as to, where is this meeting planner's room? And they'll get a postcard and say, I'm here, and slide it under the door when they arrive at the hotel. and I mean, just to make them calm down. And that is really, I mean, I had a real tight speech in Texas, probably one of the last speeches I did. And I kept texting, say, okay, just change planes. Don't worry. Mm-hmm. I'm on the plane. Here's the arrival time. Everything's fine. I didn't overkill it, right. But I knew that they were nervous about my scheduling because I had another speaking engagement the night before. So I about killed myself getting there, but it was a good one and I wasn't going to let it go. Sure. But, you really want to give people permission to feel comfortable. And the biggest compliment you and I can get, and I love it when meeting planners say, so easy to work with. So easy to work with. I love that.
I'm just trying to picture me as a guy slipping a postcard under a meeting planner's room at night and having her say thank you.
Well, Steve Gilliland's the one that does that. He has postcards made and he slides it under the door, or he gets a bellman or someone to do it, right, just to make sure that, everything is, they're there. So, some of us, I don't know if you do this, Brad, but I don't like real tight arrival and departures at all. I don't like that. And I try to give myself cushion because I've gotten more speaking engagements spinning from coming in early and infiltrating like a little spy. Do you ever do that? Mm-hmm. Just into the group. And you don't tell them you're the speaker because then they start, then you might want to use them. Say, I was speaking to Jennifer last night at the reception. And I asked her, I said, what is it that you love about that? Oh my gosh, that's gold to some people. It just is.
I'm still thinking about the postcards. It seems like Steve Gilliland could just send a text. If only we had a little device that would do that.
Yeah. But I mean, the point is anything you can do to ease the fears of the folks that, these associations have been stressed out. They're not getting the dues. People are preferring the computer, the hybrid or, the Zoom or whatever. But I think we got to help them with their job anymore, more than ever.
Yeah, I think you're right, more than ever, because all of the things that we were talking about, tastes in America have changed, and there's more things. It's easier to offend people, I think, maybe today than it was 10 years ago. As much as that gives us fear, that gives the meeting planners more fear, and we need to take that seriously.
Oh, yeah. Larry Winget said the best thing we can do, and what the meeting planner really wants, is for the people not to get bored. And however we deliver non-boredom and good information, if they hire us, as you and I both do, for some fun,
right?
Be fun, entertain the folks. I don't want anybody to be bored. So yeah. I think that's very poignant.
I think I know this has happened to you. I get tickled, Jane, when in all the calls leading up to the job, the call is all about what is your message? What is the content? what points will we be delivering? And then when you get
Mm-hmm.
there, they're like, remember all that stuff? Who cares? Make them laugh. They're exhausted.
That's what I'm telling you. That's what I'm telling you. They would rather just have some entertainment and some, I love it. And I'm telling you, I really believe when we open back up, they're going to be tapping on the shoulders of the humorist and the encouraging speaker with some entertainment value. That's what I'm thinking is going to, because I mean, I've gotten that repeatedly. And let me tell you, I started doing it. It's not a high paying thing, but who cares? I sort of sat down and said, okay, my skill sets are comedy and singing. I can do that. Who are the people that have been sitting around bored to tears? The older people, maybe church people. They're vaccinated. They're ready to roll. So I got with my church pianist and we did this program called Sweet Tea Tunes, Southern Fried Humor. And we're just going into churches to senior groups, just making them laugh and singing, and they love it. And it's
Oh,
fun. Yeah. And it's
our,
not a high paying thing, but it's the people that are in charge of these churches are going, oh, my people are so happy. So wherever you can do something just to keep your wheels turning and to keep your craft sharp, do it.
yeah.
Do it.
But I know also that doing that for you, Jane, fired you up.
Yes, it did.
We got to balance that. It's kind of nice because of COVID, our calendars have been more open, and it's easier to say yes to whatever comes in the door than it. If you're booked solid and you're headed to Plains, it's kind of easy to be grumpy too. But I find that to
Yes.
be kind of nice in some ways. I've done some stuff that I never would have done, and some of it has been so fun.
Yeah. I tell you, I never knew how much I loved this business until several digits on the fee went way down. And I was just having a ball. I relaxed and people were appreciative and thanked me. And if the truth were known, I do, and I have done for free at some places when we first started out, but it gives me joy to give other people joy. It really is. I love that. I don't mean to sound like the beauty queen answer, but I love to see people smile and thank you so much for making me laugh. And this has been so
Right?
difficult, and that it just warms my heart.
Yeah, it feels good, doesn't it? I
It
did this.
does.
I did a virtual program for this group of people that have Down syndrome,
Oh,
and I'm telling you, I haven't had that much fun doing a Zoom thing ever. It was and it was just all personality and silliness and chatting with people, and oh, Jane, it just was so fun.
it is. And what that says to me, Brad, is you're good at what you do, and it's a passion of yours. It makes you get up on Monday and think, I'm ready to go. This week might not be like 2 years ago, but I'm going to find some way to give my gift of laughter to someone else and entertain someone. And if we don't have that first, then we shouldn't be doing what we're doing. We got to have that number one. It's important to me to do that, to give, of myself.
It's a good reminder, I think, because it's easy in our job to say, "Oh, I'm here for the people. I'm here for the audience. It's all I am in service of you." But then our head is in the airport already, and our head is, "Oh, I got to remember to do the thing," and it's really easy to get away from that. I think that maybe this pandemic has been a good reminder for us.
I definitely think so. As hard as it's been, it's scary because we didn't know what we were dealing with. I mean, I was scared to go to the grocery store, and I'm still scared to go to the grocery store because I hate going to the grocery store. But yeah, but the thing that it just reminds me of, how should I recraft my craft? What else can I do? And it really kind of it helped me really see deep inside what I can pull out to change a little bit and to rework a story or think about a different industry that maybe I want to be in. So it's really been a great time just to reboot and refocus.
Yeah.
And it's been hard. I have hated looking at my finances over this. And that's been very difficult because, I mean, the first thing I did, I don't know if you heard Barry Banther say, go through that credit card and strike off everything you don't need. And I had no idea I was paying all these fees for stuff that I didn't need. And that was in itself a good life lesson. And then I knew Jim Rhodey, when I first started, he said, you better have a reserve. And I'm telling you, to get through this past year, oh, and I'm glad I did that. But there are times in your career, my career, Brad, we couldn't do that. We were building it and
Right.
spending money where we finally knew where we wanted to put the money. So when you have, I'm just glad I'm not 40 something and starting out with little kids and
Oh
having
my
to be the
gosh.
breadwinner. Man, that would be stress.
Yeah, that would, especially at the beginning of the pandemic when there was nothing, and there was no virtual, there was nothing, there was zero, and I was just thankful that I'd been in it long enough to have some time to put some nickels in the bank. Whereas some of our younger peers, like, oh wow, you're still in the
And
building
listen,
phase.
and some very established, sorry about that, some very established peers that learned to go from hand to mouth, all of a sudden there was no mouth to go from no hand. And they had to get rid of a lot of, I never have lived like that though. I never have believed in doing that because that's extremely stressful to say, well, I've made this money. I think I'll go buy a car. Like, no. This business can change on a dime. We went through this already in 2007. I mean, when things just all of a sudden just bottomed out and everybody was just tightening their belt. We've been there. There've been several things. I mean, this business can change. A 9/11. Oh my gosh, that was another crisis. Not, and it was horrid, but
Right.
it affected the hospitality industry. So you and I have been in this business long enough. We know that there's some ups and downs and ups and downs. And then, if you have an accident, I mean, I broke my foot one time. I had 5 speaking engagements.
Oh,
And man, I was hobbling, taking my child with me. And so, I mean, you have to make do, but your health can flip on you and you got a problem. So, yeah, that nest egg is very important.
it seems like every time there's a dip like that. So 2007, 2008, 9/11, pandemic. Maybe this is cold and harsh, so maybe I'm going to go to hell for this. But some of the weaker speakers will be cleared out of our business, as they always are. The stronger speakers will make it, but mediocrity wasn't going to hold, and I'm
No,
okay with that.
oh, I think it's ultimately a gift to yourself if this is just not where you're willing to drag in at 2 a.m. and get up at 4. I remember I was at the Miss South Carolina pageant. We had a big anniversary and I was all made up, like big time eyelashes, the whole deal, the big blown out hair. And I don't know what I did to my hand, but I could not move my hand. And I had to go to the emergency room and I looked like some kind of lady of the night, let me tell you. And I was sitting in the ER and this doctor walked in and here I had this dress. I couldn't unzip my dress.
Oh,
So I had this blinged out dress, these blinged out earrings. And he walked in and he said, I'm Dr. Jones and I'm on call. And I said, well, I'm Jane Herlong and I'm not. Because I mean, I look like a lady. But I remember Thomas was sleeping upstairs. I had to repack my suitcase with this awful hand. They gave me a shot at the ER, but I didn't even sleep. And then the next thing I know, I'm dragging my luggage, getting in the car, going to the Columbia Airport. But you've been there.
yeah.
These are the things you do when you love this business. And you miss your flight. I had to sit in the airport 5 hours going into North Dakota, Nyack, North Dakota. I called it Fly Not because I missed my connection. I'm sitting there, but I had a cushion. I don't believe in booking back if you can all help
Right.
not to avoid that because you don't know. You might have a guy just handed me my carry-on luggage and I never let them take it. But this time they took it. He just yelled at me and just long enough that I missed the connection. 5 hours.
Oh,
But this is the business. It's not all getting, yay, you did great. I want to buy a book. It's not all that. So it's some interesting stuff on the road.
yeah, not quite so glamorous. I am wary of taking too much advantage of your time. But before I get to these closing questions, I want to go back to beauty pageants. So you have benefited. You told us earlier in this interview the advantages of beauty contests. But because I was Googling, there are some people that say beauty contests just have no purpose in 2021 because we're focusing on just the word beauty pageant.
Yeah.
So things have
Yeah.
changed and tastes have changed. What's your take on it as someone's been through it, but also somebody who's hypersensitive to what's going on now?
I agree with that. And I think it's taken a really bad rap and a bad hit because when I go there, I see young women. Like I remember there was a girl in the competition with me, and we just said, "Oh, God love her," it's that kind of thing. Bless her heart. She ended up being the most remarkable person in her life, in her career. She took all those skills. She maybe didn't get a trophy or whatever, but she learned how to improve so much in her own professional life. And she had just a fabulous career. You wouldn't believe how many women only didn't even go to the state competition. Like Cloris Leachman was Miss Chicago, and that's as far as she got. And look at her future. There have been so many young women, and that was really, you look at the Miss America program, that was the original reality TV when you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
But when I see it, Brad, I don't think of the beauty, because there have been girls that have won that I wouldn't consider drop dead gorgeous for Miss America. But what I see is this amazing personality. And I'll have to admit it, there was a girl that won a couple of years ago, and she sat on the stage and played cups. And it was little solo cups. And I was going, oh my gosh. And she did the happy song, clap your hands if you feel, or whatever it is, happiness, da, 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 that, whatever. And she did that song and won. And I always said, oh my gosh, that's the most lame talent. Then I met the child. She was fabulous. The most adorable personality plus. So if you just, when I look at it, I think girls get scholarships. They can never go to college. Young women learn who they are. So I know that beauty word is a real negative, can be, but it's self-improvement. I mean, gosh, I don't know where I'd be without it. I've learned so much through that world, but you're absolutely right. It's a bad rap, and it's a shame. It really is, because you do learn who you are and you grow from within.
But what would you say to people who prepare for a poorly worded question? I'm making it up as I go, people. Not everything's a gem. There's no male equivalent. So the logic might tell us there's no male equivalent because this is a hint towards a sexist society.
Yes, that's true too.
That having women focus on beauty where men they don't have to worry about it. Doesn't seem right.
Yep. And you can definitely make a case for that. I can see that. And like I said, there's so many beautiful young women that they wouldn't even think twice about going into that system at all. They wouldn't put their toe in it. So, and you can see where the Miss America, I mean, we're having 100 years, the anniversary. It might be it. This might be it. I mean, it might just be the most wonderful thing that Marianne Mobley started when she was first on TV, and it made her career. And I've seen so many girls young women in the competition go on to acting. And look at Vanessa Williams. She went on to be a rock star. There's so many. But a lot of people, I know when I'm friends with Miss Universe, Shawn Weatherly, beautiful girl. She said when she went to Hollywood, she had to shake that thing so fast because that was a negative, not, to be Miss Universe. So there's a lot to be said for that. You are absolutely right. But I think whatever you can do as a female or male to tap into that person that you want to give life to, birth to, that inner person.
Right.
And grow. And if that's a means by which to, I hope someone will look into it. Whatever it is, challenge yourself. And that was a great challenge. I learned all about, how to get in shape. Of course, that's a good thing because we're so fitness conscious today, and we should be. Mm-hmm. So those kinds of things have been valuable for me. I benefited from it, but I can certainly see where it would not be a big thing. And again, it's just not what it used to be. It just truly isn't.
You're a nice person.
Well, this has been so fun. I sure appreciate it. I should have sprayed my hair better. It's getting driving me crazy.
Let me,
well, Brad, I'm glad you're doing well. I hope things are working out for you too.
Well, isn't that nice of you to say? I feel like I'm like what I assume every person on the planet is like, in that I have been up and down.
Oh yeah.
And, like every person on the planet, I've had some downers, but globally things are pretty great and healthy. And having the weather change is so good for me. And being able to get outside and having people call and say, we want you to come in person is just, doesn't it feel good, Jane? Oh my gosh.
Oh, I was just so happy when that woman called me last week and everything fell apart. The dog barked. My brother-in-law, who's deaf because he shoots his gun, he hunts. Oh, he came barging. I mean, I was like my very first really good speaking engagement and with people.
Yeah.
And poor, and I'm going, this dog is going crazy of all times. But it does make you feel good to know that we are getting there. Are you going to be in Vegas by chance?
You are referring to NSA, National Speakers Association.
Yes.
I haven't decided yet. Are you going?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm raring to go.
Oh yeah.
Ready to go.
I'm leaning
I
towards
want
it,
to
but
see
I
my
haven't decided.
friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Plus, if there was ever time, everybody in every career, right, or every industry needs a little pep talk, right? And I think one of the ways we get that is hanging out with our peers, and that might be worth it right there.
I think so too.
I like to ask the same question to every guest right here at the end, and we're there now. So, Jane Jenkins Herlong, Miss South Carolina, rock star, singer, funny
Shoot.
woman, comedian on Sirius XM, Hall of Fame speaker. What, Jane, gives you hope?
What gives me hope is certain people, not everybody, not every person gives me hope, but I seek out that very small group of people that are loving and encouraging and have my value system, and it encourages me to give more, giving back. And I think getting back to just basics, with being able to embrace. I've got some sad stuff that happened in our community, our little school down here. We lost two very important parents just back to back. So just to be able to hug those folks and tell them that we're praying for them and we love them, and just realizing how precious life is. I really think this has been a revamping of our giving back, loving people, understanding people. We've had a big change in this country in more ways than one in the past year. We need to embrace different people, try to understand them and love them and help them. And hopefully people will do the same to us. So I like to have a core group just like that. And that encourages me. I love positive things. Thomas and I get up in the morning and we follow the teachings of Christ, and we have our quiet time and we listen to good teaching, and it really starts the day, because you can be really down when you start reading the numbers in COVID. They've gone down, of course, knowing how many people we've lost. Sadly, I've lost folks in my life, but we just got to stay positive. So I guess that's a long answer to a short question. Sorry about that, but that's really what keeps me going.
I love that your close network means a lot, and that's been helpful.
And it's gotten smaller, tiny, and that's not bad.
Yeah, I think that is okay. Everybody, you need to look her up. Jane, it's janeherlong.com, right?
Yeah, Jane Herlong. I go by whatever. The beauty queen name was Jane Jenkins Herlong. One of my Miss America judges said, "Don't drop that." I went, okay.
Well, type her into Google. You'll find her on Spotify. You'll find her all over the interweb. Go visit her website. Jane, hold with me. Everybody, take care. Keep washing your hands. Have a great day.